Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is December the 10th. 2020. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Unconfiscatable. Only the beginning. In motion. 5-digit realm. One day closer to an all-time high. I am offended by some. Compete, don't complain. We're going to talk about that today. And conviction. All right, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Baltimore time, East Coast time. This week in Bitcoin, we have a new guest that'll be on. Christian will be on. Also, Nico will be on. It's going to be a great time. And new guest, as I said. All right, if you have questions, I have answers. There's already one question in there. I'm going to answer that question soon because it pertains to the topic. Type in BitcoinMeister or do a super chat. Yes, Hanukkah will start tonight. Some of you, it's already started. If you're watching in London, I guess it's already Hanukkah over there, so it's a nice holiday. Okay, let's start. There are two big stories, okay, in the space. There are two big stories in the Bitcoin space, and two big narratives, overall topics that have been floating around. Institutions are coming. Institutions are buying. Okay, they're basically using it as a store of value. Okay, they don't really care about privacy at all. Michael Saylor is a great spokesperson. He doesn't care about privacy, though. There are a lot of big organizations out there. You get pride that, I'm getting a confirmation from this huge organization that they love Bitcoin also. Okay, don't pedestal, but I get where you're coming from. At the same time, in the United States, there are rumors about all sorts of ridiculous regulation, whether it be from the current administration or the next administration, that involve basically KYC, that involve getting rid of hopes of privacy, okay? And so these stories, I'm going to tie them together today, all right? So Nick Carter, this tweet, basically becoming very clear that Wall Street is and will be an advocate of Bitcoin rather than an adversary. Now, whether these firms will support the same version of Bitcoin that Bitcoiners believe in is another question entirely. So yes, MassMutual, you can't get more Wall Street than that. They joined the Bitcoin Club today with a $100 million purchase of Bitcoin, all right? And so this is becoming pretty common. We've predicted this time for a while. Now we're living through it. It's freaking awesome to be alive now. Price goes up. You know how it goes, okay? Scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. They're adding to the scarcity. And it isn't for their cash reserve. It is for the firm's general investment account. Okay, so does MassMutual care about privacy? Would they like Bitcoin more if it was KYC? So we got in the thread that's talking about MassMutual, a guy named David, I believe his name is. He says this: a battle for another day. In my opinion, more importantly, in the short term, the more companies like MassMutual that choose to buy Bitcoin, the less likely it is that the United States Congress or other governments will do anything stupid like try to limit or ban its ownership and use. All right. Now, I agree. For all the FUD out there, the Biden administration is going to ban it, or for years and years and years, the United States can ban Bitcoin. We've gone beyond the point of no return with that now, okay? So this guy's point is very valid, that MassMutual buying, that it's not legitimate FUD anymore. When MassMutual is buying, after all these others have bought, that the United States will ban it, okay? It's here. It is here. So they're going to have to deal with it in some way. Now, what is the way they're going to have to deal with it here? How hard are they going to try to regulate it? And how open will these new players in the space, this is where the big boys play, how open will the new players be to KYC? Will they totally, they already follow a bunch of Wall Street rules. They're the Wall Street guys. They're in bed with the government. All sorts of rules benefit them. And they've been down with all sorts of regulations that kind of centralize power around these big Wall Street organizations. So the great Jameson Lopp says, looking forward to the Wall Street Agreement. Now, what's that a reference to? That's to the back in the day they had the New York Agreement with the 2x, the SegWit 2x that everybody was worried about, which was going to be a change of Bitcoin. SegWit 2x was going to be a fork of Bitcoin. They were going to complain. They were going to say they were the real Bitcoin. So what could the future Wall Street Agreement be? And there's going to be something like this, okay? It would be like, hey, the government is demanding all these KYC regulations. Let's just make it simple. Let's just fork off Bitcoin and make it compliant within Bitcoin. Instead of making regulations around Bitcoin, let's just make it compliant within Bitcoin. And this will be our Bitcoin, Wall Street Bitcoin, KYC Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin. I've just read you tweets from 3 other people, whatever. It's just not me that sees, what path we're going down here, okay? So I am very happy this is where the big boys play. That big boys from traditional finance are here. I understand that they don't give a darn about KYC. They care about store of value. I care about store of value. They're welcome to be here. They're welcome to come up with the Wall Street Agreement of the future. They're welcome to fork off. And unfortunately, they're welcome to claim that maybe they have the real Bitcoin. Who knows what it's going to come to? But it's going to come to something that involves a fork. All right. And I've been predicting a unfriendly fork for a while. All right. And as I said in the past, I thought it would be something that dealt with the number of Bitcoin. But it's pretty obvious that the KYC thing is going to come up first, since the government is so into it. You've got Warren Davidson and congressmen writing to the one side of the bureaucracy. Don't regulate wallets, don't regulate the self-custody wallets, don't regulate the, so there are rumors there could be news tomorrow. FUD Friday could be tomorrow, where Mnuchin announces a new regulation. We'll see how it all progresses. Worlds are colliding here, though. The regulation world and the Wall Street world are colliding here in the Bitcoin world. Get used to it and pound that like button. But have a strong hand and just treat it as a crypto dividend. Treat it as when it happens, just turn it into more Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is next Bitcoin, not KYC Bitcoin. Wednesday show, yesterday's show was awesome. Please watch it. I just linked to it in the chat. Again, so we had a question, and I'm going back to the question from Donald 45, Trump 45. Do you think the regulations will be that we cannot take Bitcoin off the exchanges after we buy it there? No, you will be able to take it off the exchanges. The regulation that's being proposed, rumored right now, is, hey, you bought Bitcoin on the exchange, or you've been storing it there for a while, and you want to take it off? Well, prove that you're taking it off to an address that you control. You can only send it to you, and you better prove to us that it's you, because the government says you must prove it's you. So what you would have to do is, at that point, if you're in that situation, with your, sign a message on your Trezor address, on your Trezor, and maybe you're gonna have to send in your picture with the I don't know, all sorts of weird things you're gonna have to do. But once you prove that, then once it's on your Trezor, then you could send it to whoever you want to. You can send it to some lady on the streets of Las Vegas. You can send it to whoever you want at that. And Andreas points that out. The exchanges don't like this because people are going to figure out, like, why am I even storing on an exchange. Why am I buying from an exchange? Some people are going to say, why don't I just go to a Bitcoin meetup and hand some guy some cash and he can hand me some Bitcoin? So that's why there's been some blowback from Coinbase and such, and we will see how it develops. You know what? The best time to buy Bitcoin is today. That's what some people say. There are no regulations. There's nothing stopping you from buying Bitcoin today and sending it wherever you want to from that third party that you bought it from. At this point, with all these rumors, you are insane to have your Bitcoin with a third party, though. You're absolutely insane. Even if they're giving you interest, you might not be able to get that Bitcoin off easily at all. Because again, you have to control your own private key. It's your Bitcoin when you control your own private key. It's really not your Bitcoin when you have it at Coinbase or whatever, the one that gives you interest. Robin Roberts sent 5.49 euros. Thank you, Robin Robert. Your name reminds me of Robin Roberts, who was a pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies and the Baltimore Orioles in my father's day. And my father would tell me about Robin Roberts. All right, pound that like button, everybody. Now, from back in his youthful days on the streets of Baltimore, listening to Chuck Thompson on the radio call Baltimore Oriole games. Oh, all right. And Chuck Thompson made it to my time of listening to Baltimore Oriole games too, not just my father's. So KYC fork, says Donald Trump, Donald 45 Trump. Yes, KYC fork. You can call it whatever you want to. There's going to be something that involves KYC in a fork of Bitcoin, and our buddies on Wall Street will be like, yeah, okay, that's fine. We don't care. But a lot of us, including myself, will be like, this is insane. This is not Bitcoin. It is an unfriendly fork. Turn it into Bitcoin. Ridiculous. All right. Now, I'm just seeing if there's any other comments before we get on the Tether. Talking about regulators. Regulators hate Tether. So I like Tether. And I'm compete, don't. My whole thing is compete, don't complain. And Tether has been competing and not complaining. But a lot of people complain about them. Well, here you go. Gamblers are going to gamble. Traders are going to trade. The news is Bitcoin no longer is the world's most used cryptocurrency. Tether is. Well, what do they mean by that? Bitcoin isn't the most widely used cryptocurrency in terms of trading volume. It's left in the dust by Tether. Tether is a stable coin that's pegged to the US dollar. Yeah, we know that. In 2019, Tether admitted in court documents that its stable coin was only 74% backed by cash and cash equivalents. Okay, that people argue what the exact number is. Hey, people believe in it. People love to gamble, trade, it's called. And it is the oil. It is the lubricant of altcoin trading, of Bitcoin trading. It serves a purpose. It isn't going anywhere, but news like this makes the target on Tether's back even larger for the governments and the regulators, the governments who want their own stable coins, the governments who have approved of others. The US dollar coin has been approved by the United States government. It is all it goes by all the regulations of the United States government. So it just shows you how things work in the wild. The unregulated stablecoin is so popular that its trading volume is even more than Bitcoin. Yeah. So I have nothing against stablecoins. I have nothing against Tether. Tether is the next Tether. Tether is the last Tether. Because I don't think anyone's going to be able to pull off an unregulated stablecoin like that again. But there's the news of the day. Lots of people trading, obviously. And Robin Robert, Adam, please say something to my friend Victor. He bought his first Bitcoin today and left Normie Land. Victor, welcome to the Bitcoin overlay, dude. Well, you're getting a taste of the Bitcoin overlay. I'm so glad you're not in the land of the 80%ers anymore. You clearly have expanded your the way you think. And look, Victor is in the house. Victor Liska Uh, BitcoinMeister, we want you to know that I've left Normie land and accumulated my first Bitcoin after 3 years. Let's be unique beast. Strong hand. Thank you, BitcoinMeister. Wow, dude. Well, this is really awesome. Victor and Robin, thank you for sharing this great news. Leaving Normie land. We should have like a ceremony when you leave when you become a one coiner. I mean, the name of the show is the One Bitcoin Show. I don't know. Like we have an initiation, right? With the unique beast. Like I smack you on your tuchus with the paddle, like they do in a fraternity. Is that how the initiation? No. Pound that like button. You pound that like button. I don't know. You get a T-shirt when you join. When you come in here, I don't know. But welcome to the One Bitcoin Show, the One Bitcoin Land, and I appreciate the support and happy stories like this that you value your wealth in Bitcoin. And you're not just sitting there, when MassMutual is getting rich, you're getting rich too. You're not going to be complaining in the future about MassMutual. Oh, MassMutual beat me out. No. All right. Now, let's move to the next subject matter. We relieve Tether in the dust. All right. So Bitwise. I didn't really want to talk about the Bitwise story yesterday. I didn't care that much. But the guy from Bitwise explained why it's an important story or a notable story in this thread. It's linked to below. I haven't linked to everything below yet, but if you're watching this taped and playing this at 2x, please click on everything. That's your homework. Today is Bitwise, and this was yesterday. The Bitwise 10 Crypto Index Fund became the first publicly traded crypto index fund in the U.S. With Bitwise, a massive new cohort of financial advisors and investors finally have a simple way to access crypto. How did we get here? And he says an ETF would solve the issue, but they're still working on that. It's not possible right now. So client feedback made the next best option clear, and that was to use the structure that GBTC pioneered. Most advisors said that if we could make our Bitwise 10 index available that way, it would change the game. So we got to work. So basically, this is a competitor with GBTC on a certain level. It's different because it's like you're not really owning Bitcoin and you're diversifying it with altcoins. Okay, they found some way to legally do this, and it's a competition with GBTC. Great. It's not really Bitcoin, but it does make a lot of people more comfortable. A new cohort of financial advisors and investors finally have a simple way to access crypto. Right? It's not direct access, but hey, compete, don't complain. I would never purchase anything like that, but there are plenty of people that will do it, and there are plenty of financial advisors that have wanted something like this and will tell people to do it. You are that much more elite today, Victor, and everyone else that actually holds Bitcoin when something like this comes out, because this is going to bring a lot of people into thinking they own cryptocurrency when they really don't, and they think that they're going to be so happy that they diversified for the sake of diversification and did it the traditional way through their traditional financial advisor, through a third party. Okay, the option is out there. Today, you can go on Coinbase, go on Swan, buy a real Bitcoin, move it to a Trezor, it's yours. And that's it. That option's out. And so many people want to complicate matters and do it their old traditional ways. All right. Now, I do appreciate that the United States government, this financial product, I think it's ridiculous on a certain level, but it's allowed. The United States government allows it. They should allow a Bitcoin ETF. And what we've got in Canada is that are they ahead of the United States in financial innovation when it comes to ETFs? Because Eric Voorhees says U.S. is falling further behind in markets of the future. What's he commenting on? Just in, the world's first Ethereum ETF, the Ether Fund, will debut on the Toronto Stock Exchange tomorrow under some ticker symbol after raising $75 million. So this has been talked about for a while. But it is kind of shameful that Canada allows you to have an Ethereum ETF, but the United States doesn't yet. I mean, it stifles innovation. There shouldn't be anyone should be able to have their own darn ETF, okay? So, yeah, it's pathetic that Canada is ahead of the United States in that way. The United States is the center of the cryptocurrency universe, but if it doesn't, if it lets Canada and others keep going ahead, keeps worrying about regulation, then it'll fall behind. Now, we've got the CEO of Circle. He wrote a letter to the government saying that the United States stands to lose the tech race to China by not capitalizing on the flourishing crypto market, said Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire. All right, so his letter to the Treasury Department, he wants regulation, but he wants regulation that he likes that will help his company that deals with US dollar coin move ahead in the space, all right? So, and he knows how to phrase things properly by putting it in the China perspective, because if you stare, both sides of the aisle don't like China. Well, supposedly, at least, there's one guy sleeping with like a Chinese spy. But anyway, who slept with a Chinese spy and then he ran for president. Wow, what kind of sociopath do you have to be? You think, well, I slept with a Chinese spy and now I'm going to run for president. And think you can get away with it. Well, he did get away with it okay, that's from the Beyond Bitcoin show. But going back to Jeremy Allaire here, going back to Jeremy. Yeah, he wants that. He's saying cryptocurrency is at risk because it's not clear he doesn't want the United States to over-regulate it, because it will stifle innovation. He wants them to regulate it the way he is comfortable with, so his company is helped out. Okay, at least you wrote to the Treasury Department telling them that they're ridiculous on a certain level, but it was kind of a fitting in letter also. He did compare the space to the 1996 internet, which I think is pretty valid. All right, so we've got that on the regulatory side. Everybody knows where I stand on the regulatory side. There should be let it go wild. Let it go wild. Let anyone make any Bitcoin company they want to. Let anybody print their own money, print their own cryptocurrencies, compete, don't complain. But we have voices out there that are leaning toward this authoritarian KYC, stifling innovation. Let's not let Canada. Come on now. Canada doing ahead of the United States? Now, so speaking about the future, Willy Woo, he says, in 4 years, 2024, easily a quarter of the world will have exposure to Bitcoin given its growth trajectory. I find it ironic that Bitcoin maximalists find this hard to believe. They've seen less than 1% penetration for the first 11 years. Exponential growth has surprising outcomes. Okay, I want to focus on the exposure aspect of that tweet. All right. I'd say in 4 years, maybe a quarter of the Western world will have exposure to Bitcoin because of companies like MassMutual and companies like MicroStrategy. When you own stock in those companies, you're going to be exposed to Bitcoin because they are holding Bitcoin, okay? And we're going to have all sorts of funds in your 401k that allow you to own Bitcoin, and thus you will have exposure to it, but you won't really own Bitcoin. So I don't think I want to make this very clear. In 2024, even in the Western world, I don't think a quarter of people will really own Bitcoin, okay? But yes, a quarter could easily be exposed to Bitcoin because Wall Street is getting entangled in Bitcoin right now. We're seeing it happen before our eyes, and many Westerners are already entangled in 401ks, IRAs, all sorts of Wall Street investment. So they might not directly own Bitcoin, but their companies will be dealing with Bitcoin, and thus that's exposure right there. The European Central Bank printed some more euros today. I mean, how can you value your wealth in euros? It's just another reminder. All right, I'm going to see if there are any other comments here. Any other questions? Roman says 80%ers buy Airbnb IPO. I'm glad someone brought that up. Shares from institutional investors. 20%ers front run institutional investors by buying Bitcoin. There you go. So yeah, I love using Airbnb, but yeah, there's some IPO madness going on over there, and get in on a Bitcoin is still IPO style type of stuff, okay, for the long-term thinkers. I enjoy using Airbnb, but I would never ever buy their stock, of course, because I don't buy stock. And all right, I value my wealth in Bitcoin. Everyone, 1 p.m. tomorrow is This Week in Bitcoin on this BitcoinMeister channel. Please come back 1 p.m. East New York time, Baltimore time, whatever. That is 10 a.m. in Los Angeles. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Pound that like button. I'm Adam Meister, BitcoinMeister, Disrupt Meister. Click on those squares right there that you see if you're watching this taped that says, watch my old shows there. It's my old shows. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. Great show.